Thank you for joining us wherever you are. This podcast episode is brought to you by the Old Ways Actual Play team. This actual play uses the 7th edition Call of Cthulhu tabletop role-playing game rules by Chaos. This actual play is performed by adults and in an adult setting. While we try very hard to stick to language for all ages, listeners should know that this podcast may include mature themes. All content, including names, places, events, companies, and etc., that may bear resemblance to entities living or dead, is strictly coincidental. My name is Michael Diamond, and for tonight's game, I will be your keeper. Good evening, and thank you for joining us. My name is Michael Diamond, and this is the Old Ways Podcast. I have returned as your keeper as the Old Ways Podcast continues its journey through Masks of Nyarlathotep, and we have assembled together our troop of investigators. The table has grown a bit. We will get to that in a moment, but first, I'd like to have the players introduce themselves. So, to my right.
Yes, it's Lonnie. I'll be playing Lawrence Edward Oliver Forsyth, and I am happy to report that bad dreams notwithstanding, that was quite a night.
Indeed it was. To his right.
I'm Morgan. I play Lillian Lane, and, welcome back, Mr. Forsyth. But I was thinking today about the doctor's lady friend that we never talked about again.
Oh, we'll have time to get to her. Don't worry. At the end of the table.
This is Jake. I'm playing Jack Doyle.
To his right.
This is James. I'll be playing Dr. Sigmund Tattenbach.
To the doctor's right.
This is Tiffany. I play Maeve O'Shea, and I think I went missing.
It's altogether possible. And so, last but most certainly not least.
Hello, my name is Alex, and I'll be playing Simon Granger, and I am definitely not here to burn London to the ground.
Well, not yet, at least. As we draw up the curtain tonight, we find ourselves on the RMS Aquitania, and on the Aquitania, we have heard the clarion call, the clear sound that it is the morning of arrival. So you can feel, those of you on the ship can feel the definite change in pace as the hustle and bustle of the morning begins to take over the Aquitania's crew. You can also, from your staterooms, as you look out, you can glimpse a sliver of darkening landscape in front of you. It kind of grows slowly and rises out of the sea. And it's in the few moments that you have before you begin to get into the rhythm of the day, the morning. It's in those moments that you realize just how long you've been on the water. And so I would like to start with the doctor. Doctor, you awoke this morning with a strange feeling. It started somewhere in your stomach. And it wasn't a hunger pain. It was a almost sickening feeling. And it grips your stomach relatively tightly. And it forces you into a sitting position.
Sit up. Doctor sits up, holds his stomach a little bit, look around the room, kind of get his bearings.
You look around the room. The room seems to have stayed in one piece. You don't see anything untoward in the room. You kind of subconsciously grab for your cane, knowing that at some point you'll have to stand up.
Get to a wash basin. Maybe a drink of water will help.
Get a drink of water. You take a drink, set the glass down, and when you set the glass down, you hear a very low thump when you set it down, as if the glass was weighted far more than you'd expect.
Do I feel faint?
No, but make me a listen roll. Yeah, you're good.
Did you have the chef's special? Because I think you should have had the soup.
I changed my order to the soup. 23 under 68.
Very nice. Hard success. You realize where the sound comes from. It comes from the room behind you, which is Mr. Forsyth's room.
Forgetting my own discomfort, the doctor quickly begins to dress, hoping maybe that something has been found or something has been, hoping for good news.
Okay. You begin to put yourself together rather relatively quickly. You struggle to get on your shoes. And if you didn't know yourself any better, you feel like you've got the energy of a man half your age.
Well, I take advantage of that and kind of push my own queasiness aside. Maybe before I head out the door, do a quick shot of brandy or something to steady the nerves, and
Sure.
Head over to Forsyth's room.
So, turning to Mr. Forsyth, you land, so to speak. The bed caresses your body once again. The world which you had seen before is gone, and now the white, relatively comfortable space of the stateroom exists again.
I take a moment. I pinch myself.
Yeah, why don't you give me a con roll?
Yeah, sorry.
That's okay. It's an extreme success, so 6 under 80 is pretty darn good. You take a moment to collect yourself. You see directly across from the bed there is a mirror on the wall. And for a moment, when you stare into that mirror, your face doesn't look like your own.
That'd be a sand check, I assume.
Nope, not this time. The Constitution roll is to keep it together, at least fundamentally speaking, your raw fortitude. Because the vision that you see is yourself, but disfigured in some strange way. You've got things clinging to your cheeks and to your eyes. It's rivulets of this black, almost smoke that seems to be drifting off of you.
I rub my cheek and then look at my hand.
Yeah, clear as day. No issue with your hand. Doctor, you appear outside the door.
Rap on the door with the head of my cane.
There's a sharp knock at your door, Mr. Forsyth.
Yes, who is it?
That sounds like Forsyth.
It does.
Is the door locked?
You're going to try the door?
I absolutely am going to try the door.
Okay. So, the door is open, Sigmund.
I walk right in. Societal propriety aside, etiquette aside, I have to make sure that my patient is back.
You open the door. On the bed is Mr. Forsyth in the same clothes that you'd seen him in the previous time before he went missing, and he appears whole and in one piece.
Mr. Forsyth, is that you?
Doctor?
It is you.
As far as I know, it's still me.
Wunderbar! Doctor spins around and calls for Maeve and Jack and Lillian.
Okay. So in pretty short order, the people that you call out begin hearing their names called in the hallway. I'm fairly certain that the doctor is not going to be shy about elevating his voice.
Not at all.
Well, then
Absolutely
I will
not.
jump up and grab a robe and run down the hall.
I'm in my sleeping gear, by the way, folks, because I did go to bed before when this happened.
Right.
Yeah, we don't actually care about that.
You are quickly joined, Doctor, by several of your compatriots.
Look who I found.
What do you mean found? I've been here all night.
How many days has it been since he's been gone?
Oh, it's been, I think, 3 now, if memory serves correctly.
That sounds right.
What?
Yeah, there's been quite a hunt for you.
All right, Lonnie, go ahead and give me a sand check.
Okay, now I'll give you a sand check.
Yeah. Oh, very nice.
That's a critical failure.
Oh, no.
It is. Okay.
Wow.
So, let's see here.
Welcome to my world.
It don't get no better than that, son.
Yeah.
Oof.
Why don't you lose 4 sanity, Mr. Forsyth?
Oh.
You begin to have a series of traumatic flashes of being in a world not your own, speaking with a figure whom you can barely fathom their true existence or the reality they spoke of. And all of a sudden, you have a all too real sensation of your body being slowly picked apart and granulized into black powder and then whisked out into the ether above the ship. You feel every single sensation on your back as it claws the way up towards your neck and brain. And it's at this point you realize that the doctor is sheltering you as you've fallen into a mass of weeping on the bed.
Tending to my patient.
It was just a dream. Just a dream.
I don't think it was a dream, my friend.
As always, the doctor being helpful.
He's a realist.
No, you really are crazy. This is very helpful. Yeah, I'm just going to be like, yeah, no.
Do you want a drink? We can get you a drink.
That would be wonderful.
It's 7 a.m., by the way.
Yeah, that's fine. It's perfectly fine. I eagerly grab the flask.
Yeah, no, it sure helps. For a good, long, solid pull, you can think of nothing else other than the sweet taste of whiskey.
Yes.
Behind the group, you hear a voice. Oh, you turned up. You see the one of the crewmen who had assisted you in the original search for him. So did you have fun down there at the lower deck? You scared the hell out of your friends. Good to hear. Well, we'll be in port in a few hours, so mind your stuff and let us know when you're ready.
Dankeschön.
He tips his hat and walks away.
Second pull.
It is definitely the memories and the thoughts have sent a shiver down your body, and you are going to need a little bit of something else to get this figured out.
Yeah, it's drunk o'clock. I agree.
The group as a whole is going to, I assume, prepare to get breakfast, as it is still yet early in the morning. The ship makes port probably just after 12 o'clock. And as it comes into Southampton, you're struck by where it's going. You see all of the ports along Southampton lined up, kind of one after another. They look like big parking spaces, essentially, where lots of different boats are coming and going. And what it seems like is that the boat that you're on, the Aquitania, seems to be heading directly for what looks like a space between two metal walls that's just sitting out in the bay here. And it goes directly towards it at a very slow rate. And you begin to see alongside of the ship these walls. It kind of buries itself directly, and you see it also gets tugged in a bit as it gets closer and closer. And it gets to a stopping point. You hear the horns go, you hear the people outside on the decks, and then it looks like up against these walls, left and on either side of the vessel, there are what look like gangplanks, like metal bridges that have been strewn out, connected between these metal walls and a small, almost island out in the middle of the bay. And then from there are walkways that go towards the mainland. And you can see on the mainland itself, there's this white building, big white domed building that has the Cunard name on it. And it appears to be you can see that there are signs there for customs. Miss Lane, the crew lets you know that first class passengers are going to disembark first, and then they let you know that they'll make sure that you and your accompaniment will get into the passport office without any delay.
As they should.
And that your bags will be brought around to you at the port location.
Okay. Are my companions still in their respective rooms?
I would imagine for the moment, yes, but There is a kind of all call on the ship that lets folks know that they are beginning the docking procedure. This is also followed by just a bunch of people, fanfare and lots of traffic on the actual decks themselves to see England for the first time. Or the second time, who knows?
I just poke my head into each of their rooms and let them know the plan.
Mm-hmm. You all begin to disembark. So interestingly enough, the Southampton dock that you guys are docking into, this floating dock that they have out is the largest in the world at the time. And Southampton kind of cradles around this big dock. The ships got so big over the years that they didn't have dock space for them. And so ships as big as the Aquitania would have to dock in these locations. And then you can see the little gangways that go between where the dock is, where this floating dock is, and then the actual main lane. So you disembark, and you get walked down the walkway from with the ship's steward, and with a bunch of other passengers, obviously. And you see and smell the sea and the coast of England, which at this point is heavily overcast. You hear people around you murmur that rain is probably on the way. They can feel it. It feels a little strange here. There's different symbols and used for currency here, different sounds altogether. It doesn't sound like New York, that's for sure. And you get put into a very short but pretty well-ordered line. You have a cart for all of your bags and steamer trunks and whatnot that you've brought with. And it shows a big sign overhead that you're going to have to pass under, and that's customs. So, as we pass through customs, for the players who have them, who has weaponry in their bags or in their steamer trunks?
I just have my knife.
I do.
The knife they're not concerned about. For those of you who have weapons, so Morgan and Jack and Lawrence, I'd like you to make luck rolls. Okay, so Miss Lane, you head through first. They get you through customs relatively quickly. They welcome you to England, and they can send you off through this white building. They tell you that services, whether you're taking a train up to London or if you've hired a car, it's just out there. That's where the motor pool is. And they send you on your way. Jack, you are looked over a couple of different times, but they give you your bags and stamp your passport without concern. Lawrence, when you get to them, the people checking bags and whatnot, they begin to go through some of your bags, and you can tell that they're seeming to ferret through. They're doing more than just a once-over. So what weapons are you carrying on you?
I have my pistol, I have my Lee Enfield, and I have my 12 gauge.
You see the customs agent turn his eye up a little bit at... he seems to set the shotgun aside as if it doesn't matter to him. And then he turns his eye up at the rifle and says, you plan on laying siege to something around here?
No, sir. But I'm traveling with Miss Lane, and I know that there's some opportunities possibly for some shotgun hunting in England, but also we may be traveling on to other ports. And that's my army rifle.
Yeah, no, I've seen him. Saw a few of you over here.
Is there a problem?
He leans in just a bit. You understand, normally we don't let foreigners come in here with weaponry. The shotgun is, I've got no problem, but the rifle and the pistol may be an issue. He taps on the rifle a little bit. Unless you've got another way we can solve it.
Well, I mean, is there perhaps some form of permit or...
Yeah, not that you could get here.
Well, that's a shame, and I just kind of absently rub my forefinger and thumb together. That's just a shame because I'm quite willing to make whatever accommodations with the local authorities that would allow this. Like I said, it is my service rifle.
Why don't you make me a persuade roll?
Oh, this ought to go well.
Sorry, I had a tough morning.
No, it's fine. That's a failure. 51 over 24.
So he looks at your fingers and thumb, and you see him kind of furrow his brow a bit. You do realize we take this pretty seriously here. This isn't the Old West like you have over there.
Oh, I understand completely, sir. I mean, it's not even. I don't even have ammunition for it right now.
Jack, make me a spot hidden roll. Miss Lane, you take a look at what seems to be going on with Mr. Forsyth, and you can read body language pretty well in social situations. This does not seem to be positive at all.
So I am going to go intervene.
Okay.
And I go walking over there and with as much of an air of authority as I can, what seems to be the problem over here?
Sorry, ma'am. He's got these pieces here. He's not got a permit for it.
Mr. Forsyth, you didn't bring your permit over here with you?
Your man Friday didn't make me aware of this before I boarded up, and
Just say no.
unfortunately we left him behind after the party.
We sure did. I looked to the customs officer. I looked at the customs officer and I'm like, sir, he left his permit back in the States. Is there anything we can do to work around this? He's kind of like one of my father makes him stay, be with me for protection.
Oh. Yeah, and you are?
My name's Lillian Lane.
All right, roll credit rating, Morgan.
Oh.
Bring out the credit rating hammer.
Boom. 29 over 85.
Okay. Yeah, he seems to sit up a little bit. Oh, of course. I'm sure it's no bother. Just there's a local office here. You could see if they're open. They should be open till maybe 4. Get it all sorted out if you would.
We absolutely will do that as soon as we have disembarked from here. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course, Miss Lane. There's not an issue.
Come along, Mr. Forsyth.
Yes, Miss Lane.
Two of you are in front of the passports and incoming area, that white building with the cap on it from the Cunard where you got checked in through customs. The hustle and bustle of the area around you is pretty thick. Jack, you hear over your right shoulder someone call your name. You hear, Mr. Doyle? Mr. Doyle?
I take a look.
You see a gentleman in a RMS Aquitania uniform. It's one of the midshipmen that you'd seen working the voyage. He seems to be making his way towards you.
I'll step closer, help him out a little bit.
Sure. You kind of fish your way through the crowd a little bit, and the steward kind of tips his cap to you. I apologize for having to come find you out here. I didn't see you before you left the ship, sir.
Of course. What do you need?
Actually, it's an answer to something you'd asked us about. You'd inquired about Mr. Wilde?
Oh, yes.
We did find him on the manifest, sir.
Oh, interesting. What did it say?
He lifts kind of a weathered black ledger, and you see on the front of it, it says RMS Aquitania, roster, and ledger. And then in this brass plate at the bottom, you read 4 digits. It says 1921. He hadn't sailed with us in years, sir, and I'm sorry to say that it looks here, he opens the ledger. You see white and green sort of accounting paper that's in here for long line sheets. And he traces a stubby finger down to Mr. Wilde. It seems Captain remembered when I asked him about it. We'd had him on a couple of voyages years ago, but he died in 21 on the way over.
Oh, isn't that curious?
Yeah, he had a stateroom with his wife. She and he both passed during the voyage. They were elderly, you understand, infirm a bit.
Well, thank you so much for looking into that.
Of course. We hope to serve you again. He tips his hat to you and then nods to you, Doctor.
Nod my head.
Wasn't that curious, Sigmund?
What was that all about, Jack?
Apparently our Mr. Wild passed away in 1921 on a voyage on the Aquitania.
That is truly strange.
I'll have to bring this up to Slane.
You can see that she seems to be assisting Mr. Forsyth with an issue that he has in customs. She's having a rather direct conversation with one of the customs agents there.
I guess it's not going to be developed anytime soon, so we can wait till we get a better moment.
So after, 10 or 20 extra minutes inside the customs office, you manage to make it to the streets of Southampton. You've made it to England.
Oh, I need to find a train schedule.
That is an excellent idea.
It is. Where can I go to do that?
Well, they should be available here in the office of Cunard.
All right. Well, I will go into the office and grab one.
Okay. You hop into the office and grab a brochure which lists all of the trains.
So when is the next train to London?
Next train to London is probably going to be 3 o'clock, so it's going to be another hour or so until it arrives.
Okay. I go outside and tell my companions that.
Okay. Yeah, there's quite a mix of people that seem to be moving out. Once you get out of the main area, it's basically all the passengers that were on board now are in this kind of general vicinity of the motor pool. And there's, of course, people moving all over the place. Doctor, why don't you give me a spot roll, please?
Absolutely.
Yes, you're considered at advantage for this.
Wunderbar. I'm going to go with the hard success.
Okay.
25 under 70.
There's quite a few people moving around you, but you notice something. You notice a book has fallen on the ground nearby.
Stoop down and scoop it up. Look around for the person who dropped it.
You look around. For a moment, your eyes flash over the cover and the name and the author's name. And a surge of electricity almost kind of riddles its way through your body. You see the cover, and the title of the book is The Black Power. And at the bottom it says, by Jackson Elias.
Stop stunned for a moment, staring at the cover, forgetting who dropped it.
Right.
And then, again, look around to see if anyone obviously is looking through their things or is looking like they've lost something.
Does not appear to be.
It's curious. Don't believe in coincidence, but, here it is. Open up the book, take a look inside.
There's a bookmark in it, or a white piece of paper that seems to be a bookmark.
Open it up to that mark.
You open it up, and it appears anyway that there's a Western Union telegram for it inside of it.
Oh, well, it'll be in a language I understand then, so go ahead. What's
absolutely.
the telegram say?
So the telegram reads...
Do you want me to read it out loud?
Yeah, go right ahead.
All right. Elias killed in New York. Investigation underway. Stop friends from Peru coming to Southampton. 7th February. Stop. Elias will requests you accompany investigation. Stop. Carlton Ramses. And then written on the back, St. Michael's Church, the witching hour. Light a candle for our friend. S.G. S.G. Someone who knew Carlton Ramses.
I was going to say, do I get to read the book?
Well, I just absently hand the book over to Maeve.
Everybody's all like, clue? What clue? And I'm like, book.
So I'm assuming whoever dropped the book intentionally did that, so we'd meet them at St. Michael's. I don't know. How would they know Carlton Ramsey?
Do you think he's out to get us?
Oh, Well, it says Elias's will requests you accompany investigation, so it's somebody new. We should probably go to St. Michael's Church and meet up with, or keep an eye out, or hide in a pew. I don't know. You can bring your gun.
Lonnie, you immediately feel you immediately feel a little sick. No, I'm kidding.
No, we're never gonna tell Mr. Forsyth. Never.
Okay, so the note mentions the witching hour. So I guess if you're planning on being around to go check this out at the witching hour, you're going to have to find some place to hole up until then. There are accommodations nearby for sure. You can see it looks like there's a sign accommodations not too far away.
Come, friends, let us go find a place to rest our heads. And in Europe, no less. It is England, but it's not exactly my home, but there is a feel.
Yeah, Jack has the same feeling about being in Europe again. Maybe a little different. So you guys take a short stroll, unless Miss Lane is going to hire a car or some other service to ferry the bags and the trunks around.
Sure. No, we're gonna carry our. No, I want to walk. But we can have somebody ferry our trunks.
Yeah. So if you go to any one of the local transport folks around here, they can point you in the direction of lodgings, and they can get your bags there if that's what you'd like.
Sounds good.
Yeah, they mentioned there's an inn up the road. It's called the Pig and Whistle. It's been around forever, and there's good food and good drink.
That's all we need, and some rooms.
Well, yeah, we can speak with accommodations there, but they usually have a few rooms available.
Great.
So you take a stroll through Southampton up the way. It feels a little different being in a different country. You're probably each having a little bit of culture shock. Some of you have been in England before. Some of you have never been out of the country. But the accents are different here. There's all sorts of different cultures mingle. So you've heard what you assume is French. You've heard German. You've heard different accents, different styles of talking. You see different clothes. There's a woman there who's walking down the street next to you with her families. They seem to be draped in all sorts of colorful silks.
Well, except for the ladies, this isn't much different than Panama.
Yeah, it's a little colder than Panama.
Yeah, few less trees.
Yes, a few less trees. The other thing you guys all notice too is that this location especially is not as cold as New York. So it's not as warm as you would like, but there's no snow on the ground. And for the most part, while it might be cold, it is not bitter as New York was. You make it to the Pig and Whistle probably 10 or so minutes later. Your bags are already arrived. And yeah, it's a wide open dining area that sits next to a reasonably stout desk where a woman behind the counter asks how she can help you.
Yeah, we're just looking for a couple of rooms for lodging for the evening.
She kind of stares over the group a bit. I can do you and her in one, and two of the men there in another. But the rooms are 2 people per. That's the standard rate.
So does that leave one of our people without a room?
No, just you'll need a third. She kind of goes to the set of keys that are behind her.
Great.
You go to pay her, and she looks down, and then she sees your American dollars, and she says, "Here, let me help you." And so she begins to show you kind of the exchange rate and how things get paid for. It takes maybe a couple of minutes to begin to understand how they pay for things here. And then she mentions that you'll want to maybe stop a couple of doors down and exchange some money. So not every business is going to take American dollars.
Thank you. I will do that.
You also notice, Lillian, that the exchange rate seems to be 5 to 1. So $5 American for every one.
Good gravy.
British pound.
That has changed in 100 years for sure. But yeah, back then, not the same. The group rests. You get settled into your rooms. You have something to eat. And then I assume that the order of the day is to relax for a bit and maybe have a few drinks and try to get your land legs back under you.
It sounds like a plan.
Oh, I'm looking at the new book too.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so it's called The Black Power. You had heard of it. It is one of Jackson Elias's books. You know that he published you can see the publication date. The Black Power is 1921. So you see in the front of it, the pages, even though this book is only 4 years old, the pages seem fairly well read. Not that they're worn per se, but it definitely looks like the book has been read a couple of different times.
Okay.
It seems to be almost an expansion of The Way of Terror, which was published 8 years previously. So it has a lot to do with Central American death cults, Central American cultists' activities. There's some direct interviews in The Black Power. It's definitely interesting.
Well, sounds like it'll come in handy, perhaps.
You do notice that there are some notes here, handwritten notes. They're not in English, though.
Oh, probably not a language I reckon, unless it's Latin or...
It does not appear to be in Latin. You're fairly intelligent. You make out what you're fairly certain it's French.
Mm.
Yeah, the notes definitely appear to be in French. After a few, if the group is planning on meeting up at the witching hour, are you making any plans to rest before that happens?
The doctor is definitely taking a nap.
I'll take the room with the doctor. For some reason, I don't feel like being in a separate room by myself.
It's probably a good idea at this point.
Actually, I might pull Maeve aside for a moment.
Yes.
Ma'am, I know that you have a great number of books in your possession. Have you got anything on dreams?
I don't think I do currently. I do at home. But what about dreams do you want to know? Like the symbolism? Like what kind of things, like what represents what?
Well, evidently I had a 3-day one, so I'd like something on that order.
Okay. Well, if you want, we can talk and sort it out, and I can tell you what I know.
Yeah, I don't think sleeping's a good idea right now anyways. Sure.
Okay.
So I would like to describe the parameters of my dream to her. The feeling of being turned into dust, taken to these, I believe he called them the Dreamlands.
He did. The Land of Dreams.
The Land of Dreams. Meeting, shamefully I've forgotten his name, and my paper that I wrote everything down on has disappeared.
That's okay. So I can fill in some of those blanks if you'd like.
Yeah, please do.
So he explains this tale of speaking with a being called Argus the Elder. And the tale he talks about is the tale this Argus creature, or this person, told him was about a lost, a city long forgotten called Sarnath. And it was destroyed. But before it was destroyed, it was a major focal point of mystical teachings for almost 1,000 years. And he explained to Forsyth that these stones that the Watchers gave him for all of you were once in Sarnath, and that they have this almost resonance to them that draw other beings to those who carry the stones.
And we should watch out that they grow too attached to us.
Right.
The stones become attached to us?
Yes, they will get warm. Very warm.
He also did explain to you, and I'm sure you would impart that the stones give the bearer many benefits. So they could be anything from longer life, greater health, a more willful disposition. It wasn't as if these stones were a complete malady to carry.
No, but he seemed to imply that they came with a price.
Yeah, that's fair. He also had mentioned during that dream that he was traveling to the east, near some place called the Twilight Sea, a nation or a country called Asu, where a great thinning of the veil had begun, and that he was worried about the thinning, that something was coming.
He also mentioned that we were opposing some being. Had a host of different names, none of which really made sense to me.
Do you remember any of the names?
I'm sure I would give it enough prompting, but no, sadly.
Okay.
It still doesn't quite feel real, and I still have a hard time believing that we're 3 days further down the road than I was.
Well, I will let you in on a little secret. I had a disturbing dream while you were gone as well. Not anything like yours. So, there's that. Let's see. So, do any of these city names or anything ring any bells with me? Have I heard of any of them? Probably not, but you know.
No. Well, to be fair to you, you can roll Cthulhu Mythos if you'd like.
Okay. Nope. 91 out of 22.
Not going to happen on that roll. So no, you've never heard of Sarnath.
Just spend 69 luck and gain some Cthulhu Mythos. It'll be great.
I was just gonna say, yeah, just spend a little luck. You'll be fine.
Then
You could always push the roll. And as your keeper, I am required to tell you that if you fail a push roll, bad things can happen.
yeah, no, but I was looking through my books again, and it looks like maybe I might be able to find something either in the Noctic scripts or the People of the Monolith.
Okay.
I mean, probably not, but those are the places I would look because, like,
Sure.
in the Noctic scripts, you know, it talks about time before man and inhuman deities and races and stuff like that. So
Well, and it also talked about Atlantis too.
right.
So so you rifle through the pages of the Noctic manuscripts because it's such a great resource, but you don't find anything specifically that gives you anything about Sarnath.
Okay. Or anything referencing the Twilight Sea, or a dream world and watchers. Or...
You do get a bit on this place called the Land of Dreams, or the place beyond the Wall of Sleep, something to that effect.
Mhm.
And it seems to suggest that there is this other world where fantastic creatures and flying beasts and a sun and moon which talk with one another as they travel through the stars. It feels like a fairy tale land, but as far as more concrete evidence of what Mr. Forsyth's brought up in his dream, you don't see any.
Okay, well, it looks like as of right now I'm at a loss for some of these things. However, because I know about them, I will keep these notes, and if we come across any other books. Also, I haven't finished looking through this newest book that I picked up, and I can always go through the books I do have with me now, and I can let you know. But it sounds like maybe you did actually travel somewhere else. since you weren't here for us, and it felt like a dream, and it was for 3 days, you may have traveled to a dream realm. That's a belief.
Perhaps I could borrow something to read then? Something light?
You're asking the wrong person on that one.
She doesn't own anything light to read.
Perhaps Lillian has something?
You hear the doctor laughing from his room.
How would you like this book, Bound in Flesh?
Sounds lovely. Does it mean
Right.
I don't have to sleep? Sounds great.
Read this in a cool room because it sweats otherwise. You don't want that.
And every now and again it whispers, "Moisturize me."
It has a face on the back cover. I mean, come on.
Well, I mean, to be fair, Miss O'Shea does have in her possession a book which is bound in human flesh. So that's not far. We're not far off.
It's not a drawing, it's a tattoo.
Yeah, I think right now I only have one.
We're going to wind the clock a little bit, unless anybody has anything specific they need to accomplish. So you exit out of the Pig and Whistle and head up the street. St. Michael's is not too terribly far from the hotel we were staying at, but it's also not necessarily close. It's kind of in this strange middle zone where it's towards the train station that you would be taking eventually to London, but it doesn't necessarily put itself in the perfect position for you. You actually have to walk a bit uphill, which isn't surprising given you're on the coast.
Right.
You walk and approach the church, and this general feeling comes over you. You get a very strange sense of whether it's the rain or whether it's the overcast skies that seem to follow you in. The church's overall structure and its height in position to the relative buildings nearby, which are mostly Tudor style building, very recognizable white walls with brown wood slats and framing around the windows. This church stands with its white and yellow brick front. Bricks are a bit pitted with age. You see 3 large, tall, and rather elegant stained glass windows. And as you approach, you can see that the main stained glass window here has a beautiful vision of St. Michael, the archangel, slaying the dragon. You can see that there are small motes of red light that probably are filtering in from either some of the main altar candles or perhaps an overhead candelabra. The church's wide, dark, wooden door stands a bit inside, gives you an opportunity to get out from under the rain overhead.
All right, we'll go in.
Okay.
Follow along behind.
You go in, you look down and just kind of remember back onto the note. It seems that the clue itself talked about meeting at the witching hour. You can see that the church itself seems empty.
Well, not surprising at this time of night.
No, not at all. Your sharp eyes, though, Jack, pick up that there is a bench in the open confessional to the right here, and it looks like there's a lit votive.
I go over and light another candle. A prayer for Elias.
Doctor sits down in one of the pews. This is the walk uphill and everything has probably been done so good for his hip, so.
And even as a man of science, churches, while they might serve part of, the support system for people these days, I don't know that religion in his mind trumps science at this point.
Not too much.
Jack, you say your prayer and light your candle. It actually feels good to be on solid ground and be in a church. Mm-hmm. There is part of the rhythm of your life that was very well connected to being in a church, whether it was Sundays or Wednesdays or Saturdays as needed. It's good to be back. And it's at that point that you begin to look around.
It's a nice church, right? And it's got some age to it.
Yeah, it does have some age to it. Actually, just by the dedication plaques and some of the lettering that you see, it looks like it looks for the most part like it's been here for several years, hundreds of years, in fact.
Very interesting.
Appreciate the architecture.
Eventually, I go sit down with Sigmund and wait.
Do you spend much time in a place like this, Jack?
Oh, I've spent many years in a place like this.
I suppose that shouldn't surprise me.
Jack, you hear a knock on the door of the confessional.
Turn, is there somebody standing outside the confessional?
There isn't, actually. There are two sides to it, obviously, the priest side and then the
Right.
other side.
Interesting.
It's like the side which is open is the, those who have come to confess.
Right. Oh. Perhaps it's time for a confession. I'll be right back, Doctor.
Absolutely.
Unless you want to join.
Not me, thank you.
Jack, you do the walk up a little slower probably than normal. That single votive light that's in there it puts some strange shadows on the walls of this confessional.
It's probably a little spooky.
Perhaps. You head in?
Yes.
Okay. Do you close the door?
Yes, I do.
Okay. You close the door.
What troubles you, my friend?
I have a great many sins to confess.
How long has it been since your last confession?
Oh, about a week or so, give or take. How about you?
Well, I'm afraid it has been far too long for me as well. I wish to read a passage for you, if you do not mind.
Absolutely, Father.
The righteous man perishes, and no one lays it to heart. Devout men are taken away while no one understands. For the righteous man is taken away from calamity, he enters into peace. They rest in their beds, who walk in their uprightness. Tell me, what does this mean to you?
I don't know. Why don't you tell me what it means?
The world is full of pain and loss. And when the righteous man doth fall, there are only those who can seek to uphold their legacy. I hope you have come here because you are one of these men.
To uphold the legacy of a righteous man?
Oui.
I'm doing my best.
And, Mr. Doyle, are you a righteous man?
I am doing my best to be a righteous man.
I suppose that is all we can ask of ourselves.
How about you, Mr.
Please, step outside with me. I'll shut the panel and open the confessional.
Okay.
I'll follow him out.
I'll stand and face to Doyle as he exits, take my newsboy cap off, lower my collar. He stands about 5'10", 5'11", kind of lean of build, with a oversized top coat. Black man, very closely cropped hair, clean shaven, wide set, narrow brown eyes. I'm gonna take a look around the church to see if anyone else is here.
Yeah. So you see another man sitting in a pew. Doctor, if you'd go ahead and give yourself a description.
35-ish, mustache, glasses, hair starting to salt and pepper. He's dressed moderately, but not shabbily. Like, his clothes are actually quite nice for being modest clothes. Holding a cane in front of him and watching him intently.
I apologize for the clandestine nature of our meeting, but I hope you understand. These are dangerous times.
Absolutely. There's no shortage of cloak and dagger where I come from. Please, let's join my companion over here.
Of course. I'll follow in line behind Jack.
Okay. Sigmund, they come over.
I remain seated just because it hurts to stand up probably a little bit right now. So I'll watch them approach and with interest.
Dr. Tottenbach, this is Monsieur
Granger. Simon Granger.
Granger.
Guten Tag, Monsieur Granger.
I spent some time in the employ of Monsieur Ilya And I've come to understand that he has been taken from us.
Yes, brutally.
I'll kind of twist the hat in my hands.
It was unfortunate the end that he met.
It is unfortunate that he met any end at all.
Indeed. Sadly, had we been just a few minutes earlier, we may have been able to stop it.
So you saw it? You were there?
We saw the end result.
At this point, I'll probably take a seat, either across the aisle or in a chair, whatever's close to them.
Yeah, I mean, the aisle is right there.
And would you be willing to tell me who is responsible for this?
Would you like to do the honors, Doctor?
It was a cult, unfortunately. A group of men known as the Cult of the Bloody Tongue.
The Blood Tongue. Now, I'm pretty sure that I'm not familiar with that particular cult,
You are not.
but it wouldn't necessarily surprise me that one of any number of them could be out for Elias for any reason.
Well, just reading the Black Power like you have, you would know that Elias wasn't necessarily sheepish when it came to pushing the edge of getting up close and personal information on cults. You're fairly familiar with his, his ability to disguise himself as different people from different backgrounds and gain people's trust rather quickly. He had quite a history of doing that. It wouldn't surprise you at all that maybe one or two of the cults or 10 of the cults that he published stories about might have taken things just a bit personally.
Sure.
But you do know this. You know that Elias never did seemingly published any direct information on cults within the United States. They were all external cults. So India, Africa, South America, some of the stuff that's run into Europe and that sort of thing, but never, from your understanding, never anything in the U.S.
And this happened in New York?
Yes.
Yeah.
We actually believe the cult itself was from Africa. And he was following a trail left by the Carlisle expedition a few years ago. Met their end in Africa.
Monsieur Ramses and Elias will have seen fit to put me in your path. I do not know exactly what I can do to help, but if you are in the process of an investigation...
We are planning on filling Elias's last request. Finish his work.
Then if it is the imposition, I would appreciate an opportunity to carry out his wishes as well.
Well, we wouldn't turn down any extra help, but you have to understand what we're doing will be very dangerous. Not just to your life, but to your mental health as well.
If Monsieur Ramses wished me to accompany you, it is likely because he also understands this danger.
I'm not entirely certain he does.
As long as you understand the risks before you go. We understand, as we have seen some already.
I understand that my friend has been taken from me too soon, and those who would see fit to douse such a light from this world, well, I would hope that whatever end they met was swift. Did any of these cults survive?
We believe we eliminated them all in New York.
It was fairly terrible.
Of that I have no doubts, Doctor. But if Elias' writings are to be believed, where there is one, there will likely be others.
Indeed.
And it would be no surprise to me if this blood tongue has reaches further than New York, especially if their roots are in Africa.
Your logic is sound.
I'll put my hat back on, kind of straighten up a bit. There are more of you, are there not?
Yes, the others are back at the hotel.
I will assume that you or your fellow investigators may have questions for me. I have no secrets to those who were under Elias' oversight. So if there's anything you wish to know about me, I will share whatever I can. But please understand, the work that I would do for Ilya required, how to say, decisive action.
Understood. Perhaps we could meet tomorrow, all of us together, and talk more frankly.
Then I leave you to your evening. Thank you for meeting me. And I will see you all in the morning.
Have a good night, Mr. Grenier.
Simon, please.
Guten Tag.
Doctor. Monsieur. Nod to both of them, kind of a slight shoulder bow, and pop my collar, put the scarf up, slide out of the church.
Okay. Jack and Sigmund, are you guys still heading out for your late night drink before going to bed?
If the doctor's up for it, of course.
Absolutely, Jack. After you.
You, the two of you head out. You get your drink. You notice that the rain here has gotten a little persistent. Although it's not a storm by any means, the wind has picked up a bit. It doesn't so much howl down the streets, but there are places where you feel there is a significant difference in the relative structures of and the layout of how Europe is built versus the U.S. The alleyways here are a little tighter, and the buildings they're just made a little bit differently. There's something here though. It's under the first layer of what you're seeing, Jack. You can tell there's something here underneath, maybe not underneath the ground, but underneath this veneer that England is showing you. You're not sure what it is yet, but
like a undertone of darkness or something.
Darkness is an easy first gear, of course, to go to, but it's more like what trips your mind a bit as you have that first beer or that first drink is Elias left here in a hurry. He boarded a vessel after he wrote Jonah, and he rushed home. And you're not certain whether or not he was running from something consciously or his subconscious mind was battering away at that wall between the two, telling him to go. You just have to keep your eye out and figure out what he was looking for.
Is it almost like a feeling of impending, I want to say, predation?
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. Although, I guess for you, it would be more the predation is there, but it has not locked onto you as prey just yet. It's like knowing there's a beast out there roaming the lands, but knowing that it's not you it's coming after just yet. But you still have the knowledge that there is something out there.
Yeah, like being in the wood, being in a forest, and knowing there's a wolf out there hunting.
Yeah. So yeah, you guys go and you get your drink, and you have some things to think about. Sigmund, you probably remember that you'd said to Lily that you would write. So you figure that once you get to London, you'll hunt up a postcard.
Absolutely. And I look forward to writing to her.
Yeah. And then after your drinks, you guys head back to the hotel and kind of doss down a little bit calmer after your tense meeting at the church. And when we pick it up next week, we'll see what the rest of the investigators think about the new edition. So I want to thank everybody for joining us for the first full cast episode back together. We're hopefully going to enjoy the hell out of England in this time. So thank you all for joining us this evening, and we'll catch you back next week.